Hey guys, so I'm back, and this is probably going to be my most complicated video yet. But some of this stuff you'll have to refer back to my other video, uh, talking about basically how everything in the universe is kind of more or less made from a fundamental level. But this is going deeper into that. So, okay, so as you know, uh, as I said before, the universe and everything in existence is fundamentally just string. Okay? It's a piece of string that's oscillating at every wavelength from everything from nothing to infinity. And it's getting infinitely smaller and infinitely larger. Okay? A series of spheres getting infinitely smaller, infinitely larger. Okay? So that's basically, I don't think we could go much more fundamental than that. I don't think. Um, but anyway, so I'm kind of just explaining how all of that works basically. So, as you know, like I said before, you have love waves, time waves, radio waves, microwaves, infrared, visible light, ultraviolet, X-rays, or waves, and gamma waves. Okay? So, black holes and electrons consist of love waves, time waves, and radio waves. Hence, why we can't see them. They're completely black. Neutrons consist of all those waves plus microwaves, infrared, and visible light. Okay? And then protons consist of all those waves plus ultraviolet, X-ray, and gamma waves. Okay? So, basically the way the universe is made is it's just a bunch of different things kind of like slamming into each other. Okay? Whether it be black holes or atoms or sex or anything. It's basically just on this subatomic level, things just slamming into each other. But fundamentally, on the string level, it's not like that. It's a very beautiful thing. It's just basically string intertwining, okay, and coming together. So, you have electrons, neutrons, and protons that all equally repel one another as well as attract one another. Okay, dark matter is kind of explaining dark matter and dark energy is kind of like putting a piece of putty in your hand and squeezing it. Okay, because the dark matter is pulling everything in, and the dark energy, which is basically going to be kind of like shooting out between your fingers, is pushing everything out. Okay, that's probably the simplest way to explain dark matter and dark energy. Okay, but so the way that the strings intertwine is that okay, so they kind of go. Okay, I'll explain this on like a simple level because if I tried, which I wouldn't be able to anyway, I don't have the cognitive capacity to do that because I can't explain infinity. But this would be occurring at an infinite level, okay? But I'll explain it in simplistic terms, okay, so people can understand it. So, the way that it works is that you have love waves that kind of like go in an infinity motion, but going every which way direction. Okay? So they just go down the line. Okay? So love waves intertwine this is kind of another a simplified version of it, because love waves are actually the largest spheres, okay? Because they only oscillate at one time per minute, okay? But then as you go down the line, down the gamma rays, they get smaller and smaller and smaller. So this is kind of like a little bit of a version of the way that it works, except that we'd be going in all different directions infinitely, okay? So the love waves intertwine with time waves, and the love waves and time waves intertwine with radio waves, and that makes an electron. And then a neutron is made out of those waves and microwaves, infrared, and visible light waves, okay? And then a proton is made out of those waves plus ultraviolet, X-ray, and gamma waves, okay? So basically that's all that's happening, is they're kind of like traveling in an infinity symbol going in all different directions, and they're basically getting infinitely smaller as well as shooting out string infinitely larger, okay? So that's kind of like the way that it works. So if you put this going infinite directions, you have a sphere, okay? It's getting infinitely smaller and infinitely larger, okay? So, as I said before in my other video, time and entropy within an electron and a black hole, all this stuff is I know that I say this is the way it works. I mean, it's all theoretical, but if it makes sense, it makes sense, you know, like, 2 plus 2 equals 4, that's not really a theory, you know? So, anyway, that makes sense in my head. I don't know necessarily if it makes sense in you guys' heads. So, in an electron and a black hole, time and entropy are infinitely decreasing. In a proton and neutron, a star, a planet, a moon, and an asteroid, entropy and time are infinitely increasing, okay? So all it is basically string being shot out every which direction, okay? That's all it is that, black holes are shooting out, which are the same things as electrons, are shooting out love waves, time waves, radio waves, neutrons, which are the same thing as planets, moons, and asteroids, are shooting out love waves, time waves, radio waves, microwaves, infrared, and visible light. And you might say, well, how does a planet shoot out visible light? Well, what do you call lava in the nighttime? Glowing red, right? That's visible light. And infrared, that's heat from the lava. You know what I mean? So, and you might say, well, moons and asteroids don't do that. Well, you combine a bunch of moons and asteroids and they'll act the same way as the planet does. So, that's basically how that works. And then, protons, which are stars, they basically shoot out all those waves plus ultraviolet, X-ray, and gamma waves. Okay? So that's basically how it all works. I mean, that's all that DNA is the string being shot out by electrons, neutrons, and protons, and them all kind of coming together and making life. That's how life exists, you know? Like, you could compare this to the Trinity. You know what I mean? It's a child is born, and they either grow into a father that could be compared to, a child's born, they could be compared to a neutron, okay? And, they grow into, and this goes every which direction, and they grow into a father or mother. They can be compared to an electron or a proton, and thereafter that, they converge with another proton or electron and make another neutron. it's the perpetuation of life. It's how everything works. Okay, so yeah, it's a really beautiful thing. It's very intense once you start to break it down fundamentally, but it all works. You know, it's all basically just the string. You know, getting infinitely smaller and infinitely larger. You know, oscillating at everything from nothing to infinity, which really, if you think about it, it's just a big loop. They're the same thing. You know, a series of spheres getting infinitely smaller and infinitely larger. So you might be saying, well, I don't get what you're talking about, Stephen. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. But it's not really that complicated to understand. Okay, because basically, like right now, for instance, my string is pulling in the string, as well as all the string in this in the atoms in this room are pulling in the visible ultraviolet infrared light that's being or waves that are being sent out from the sun right now. Okay, and all these atoms basically absorb those, and by the time they get done absorbing those, the only thing that's left over is gravity waves, okay, which shoot directly down to the origin of gravity in the Earth that's being pulled on by the black hole. You know, that's another thing I could explain really quick is that that's kind of how it works in our galaxy. So you have a black hole that's pulling on a neutron, or I mean a proton, which is a star, and it's also pulling on the planets and moons, which are neutrons, at their center point of gravity, and the proton is pulling on the neutrons as well. You know, so that's basically just how dark matter works. That's basically like whenever you look at a galaxy and it's basically moving in uniformity. That's all you're seeing. You're just seeing the black hole, the star, and the planets, moons, asteroids being pulled in and repelled by each other uniformly. You know, and the magnetic waves being sent out basically cause a spinning motion because it's magnetic being pushed out, gravity being pulled in at the origin of gravity, so it just causes a spinning motion. You know what I mean? But the most beautiful thing about it is it's all infinite. You know? I mean, I know they said, you know, oh, well, the universe is 13.7 billion years old. No, it's not. It's infinite. All you're looking at whenever you're looking at the microwave cosmic background and radio waves shooting out of your TV is the string. The string is infinite. It's being shot out and pulled in all directions infinitely. You know, it's a very beautiful thing. So yeah, I think I went over everything. So that's pretty much it. You know, that breaks everything down pretty simply. So like I've said before, if you can, I would appreciate it if you contribute to Magnitis Toys on GoFundMe. It's MAGNITIS. I would appreciate it. If not, you know, that's your decision. It's fine. But anyway, yeah. So that's all we are. It's beautiful. Everything. It's just one giant, long, infinite, growing piece of string. It's oscillating at different frequencies, always moving at the speed of light. You know, so it's really interesting. But all right. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed this video.